It will be an interesting year for the Maryland Terrapins. This is a year in which they are no longer in the Big Ten East. They get a little bit of a break on the schedule. And today we take a look at the top 10 returning players for the Maryland Terrapins in 2024. Now, a new quarterback comes into play, but Roman Hemby comes back at the running back position. A solid year for him, 680 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns, 349 yards receiving, and 3 more scores. This is a group that is going to be really interesting to watch because of that new era at quarterback and because you have a player like Roman Hemby back. And you need the rushing attack to be a little bit more relevant than it was last year. This is a group that finished 22nd in passing, but finished 116th on the ground. So a guy like Roman Hemby, who's extremely talented, has the talent to be a big time weapon for the Terps, needs to be more of that in 2024. Now, the passing attack without Talia Tagovailoa should be just fine. You have plenty of weapons coming back, and it'll be really fun to see how this group responds to a new quarterback. Felton comes back after a 723 yards, 6 touchdown performance in 2023, and he is going to be a weapon for this offense. And getting a new quarterback obviously has its concerns, but you have good depth at the wide receiver position. You have plenty of talent to make their life easy. And a guy like Felton could have another big year. If he's able to take another step forward, you're looking at a 1,000 yard season. Now, that quarterback is MJ Morris, the former NC State transfer, comes in to take over, and fans should be excited about what he can do. His stats may not indicate someone who is ready to take a step and be a starting quarterback, but I think that you have to watch the film and see what he's capable of doing. He is someone who can be really talented as a passer, someone who is going to distribute the ball to his playmakers and make them better. And when you look at, we just talked about the depth that this group has. Morris gets the throw to Felton and a couple other guys that we'll talk about here. And that's huge because you get him a little bit more comfortable with this new roster, his new depth chart to work with. And that's going to be something that helps him, but it also helps Maryland, especially because they're going to play a schedule that's a little bit more favorable now that you don't have to play Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State every single year. To me, an underrated player on the defensive side of the ball is going to be Donell Brown. I think that he is someone who is ready for another big year and someone who is ready to be an absolute monster on the edge. 4.5 tackles for loss and 3 sacks in his first year with the Maryland Terrapins and in the Big Ten. He is someone who has the power to be able to get to the quarterback, the athleticism to make things happen. And I think that this defensive line, this defensive front has some turnover that needs to be addressed, but having Donell Brown on the edge makes their life very easy. Another wide receiver to keep an eye on, Kaden Prather. Now, you can make an argument that he should be higher on this list, and I'm okay with that. He is someone who I think is ready to take a step forward and be even more explosive than he was last year. 42 catches for 667 yards, 15.9 yards per catch, 5 touchdowns, a big time weapon for this offense. And with MJ Morris coming in, that's another guy that's going to make his life easier. That's going to give his quarterback more options. And Prather, like I said, he wears number one and he could be the number one option for this team. Flipping to the defensive side of the ball, this was surprisingly a really solid defense. This is a group that did a lot of good things and they lose a few key players on every level and some NFL talent departs, but you also get guys like Glendon Miller back. And 6'2", 195-pound defensive back plays at the nickel position for this team and had 4 interceptions last year. It's a big reason why everyone knew who he was, and it's a big reason why he'll be successful in 2024. He knows what to do when the ball is in the air. He knows what he's capable of doing, and he's a big body that gives them good size on the back end of this defense. Another defender here, Kellen Wyatt, a linebacker who didn't have maybe the biggest numbers in terms of stats. 34 tackles, still 6.5 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks. Again, with some of these players departing, new guys have to step up, and Wyatt is one of those players that could fill that role. I think that he is set for a solid year. And when you look at what this team could use, you could use a more disruptive front, and you could use certain players to step up while they sort things out on the defensive line. And having linebackers like Wyatt will give you that luxury. Another defensive back that could have a future in the NFL is Dante Trader, 5'11", 196 pounds, so a little bit smaller than Glendon Miller, but someone who is I think really fun to watch, very productive player for this defense. 53 tackles, 2 interceptions last year. I think that he's a solid player to have back, a good leader. And again, this was a solid defense, a defense that was very productive and could be disruptive at times. And you're expecting him to do the same. If the offense needs a little bit of time to get things sorted out, guys like Trader in that secondary could be relied upon early in the season. Another veteran who comes back somehow is Ruben Hyppolite, someone who's been with this program for a long time, a veteran with plenty of production. So he knows what to do. He knows this defense very, very well, and he knows how to make plays at the Big Ten level. So you are ready for him to take that step. You are hoping that he can get get everyone else ready to take a step. Because if this defense as a whole plays like it did last year with a seemingly easier schedule, then Maryland's going to be a really fun team to watch. And finally, we have Caleb Wheatland, the linebacker, who, again, the numbers maybe don't jump out as much. 41 tackles, 5.5 tackles for all loss, 3.5 sacks. So you have guys that maybe don't stand out tremendously in the box score, but these are guys that are very productive and can be disruptive. And this linebacker group is one of the better groups in the Big Ten, maybe even in college football. And again, this defense did a lot of exciting things in 2023, and they are hoping to do the same in 2024. If the offense can get a little bit more balanced, and if MJ Morris truly is the answer at quarterback, like I said before, Maryland's going to be really good. They'll be a very exciting team to watch, and it's going to be fun if you're a Terrapins fan in 2024, especially with all the changes coming.